And we are live. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining. Today's session is going to be a little bit different. AJ here and I are going to look at real data to give you a sense of what's actually working with B2B creator marketing right now. By way of introduction, my name is Paul. I'm CEO and co-founder of Archive, and we are the AI platform that companies like L'Oreal, Home Depot, and DoorDash use to run their creator programs. From social listening to discovery to campaign reporting, we process over 20 million videos a day and have great data to help run these programs. We'll show a couple of our customers on screen that have had great success with Archive, but more importantly, today, we have AJ. AJ has become a really good friend, but he is the person that I have personally learned the most about from when it comes to B2B creator marketing. He's been doing it way before it was cool. And so welcome AJ, who is the founder of Creator Match and is going to drop amazing wisdom for us today.
Awesome, Paul. Thanks so much for having me. I think the last time, and I see Caroline in the chat. What's going on, Caroline? Last time we saw each other, we were, I think, eating steak and lobster in France at a creator villa.
Indeed.
Kind of amazing brand.
Yes.
So cool to see you now. I'd love to know where everyone's calling from in the chat. I know Caroline, I want to say, is in Nashville. I'm currently in Florida. I know, Paul, you just left Florida to go to SF, and I think you're in New York. I see Josh is in LA. So yeah, throw where you guys are calling from in the chat. And the goal for the next 45 minutes or so, I know everyone is insanely busy. We're going through one of the biggest launches for one of our brand partners literally today. So I have to step away for this awesome webinar. But we want to make it super interactive, right? The goal is not for us to talk to everybody in a monologue. Like, we want you to walk away with something really exciting, really tangible to help with your creator program. And it's been so fun seeing B2B finally get some cool light, as it's been kind of in the shadows for the last 2 years, and can talk a lot more about what we're doing at Creator Match, some of the brands we're working with, and some of the creators.
Awesome. Appreciate that and excited to see everybody. Do drop in. We'll answer questions as well live in the chat if you have them. But AJ, you've built Creator Match. You've been working on some of the biggest campaigns that maybe not a lot of people know that you're behind, with some of the best companies when it comes to AI companies. Can you talk a little bit about some of the brands that you've done work for, just so people can get a sense?
So we've really moved up market, going away from, I would say, startups with very tiny budget, to give everybody just to conceptualize how fast and how large this B2B space has grown. 2 years ago, and like, that's how new it is. It's only been 2 years. But 2 years ago, we were fighting for scraps in the dumpsters for $2,000 all-in budgets over 3 months, including 5 creators and our agency fee, $2,000. And then now, if you add a couple zeros on it, it could be, I mean, we did $1 million in the first year, $1 million in 1 month, and then we hit a $1 million week in terms of confirmed offers sent to creators. So like, it has been hockey stick growth. Every brand today, I think, realizes what we've known since day one, where the barrier to build software has gone to zero. Anyone can vibe code what you're doing in a day, right? So what is the last moat? The last moat is distribution and storytelling. And, I heard a great quote from a CMO from a top tech company the other day. We were on a call, and he said they're shifting their marketing focus from demand to brand. So everything today is brand, which is why we're seeing such a huge uptick in needing to build a creator program. We've worked with companies ranging from the Anthropics, the Lovables, the Zapiers, the Gustos, the Wixes, the Framers of the world. We've done everything from pure B2B to AI to general tech. You have these prosumer, that's like the Anthropics of the world, have both a consumer focus and a B2B focus. We've done a mix of both. We've done a lot of LinkedIn, and now we're doing all channels. So it's really across the board. And what we're focused on is building creator programs at the program level versus what we started off with, which was just LinkedIn creator marketing. So it's still our bread and butter, but B2B, as people realize, is no longer just a one channel focus.
Yeah, we've been working with a lot of AI companies, and it's very interesting because there's so much AI slop out there that they're all going back to humans to tell their stories
And
because
it's funny that the AI companies are not using AI generated creators. You have, of
exactly.
course, if anybody follows tech Twitter, you have those viral tweets of, hey, I created an AI generated UGC creator. And I'm not going to pretend it's very good. But I think the platforms are starting to push back. You saw, I mean, people are getting demonetized on YouTube for kind of AI generated channels. You see Snap pushing back. I think Meta will eventually push back as well. You see LinkedIn just launched a report, this is an AI slot button. So I think the pendulum's going to swing back, and you don't want to be caught in the middle as a creator. So you either have to go super lo-fi or you go super highly produced, the best possible storytelling, and brands need help with that story.
Yeah, 100%. You talked about building creator programs for these companies. Let's try to make it real. Let's say we've got a new AI product that is launching that is doing a little bit more B2B side. So maybe they're doing some PLG, but also sales. And let's say they're doing 50 to 100 million in revenue, looking to 10x, right? They're coming to you to create a match and they're like, hey, we have not done any creator marketing before, but we want to get started. What does that shape look like in detail for a company in that world?
So I think it's really easy to get caught up in what I call the Cluely approach, where they pioneered this world of getting hundreds of millions of impressions on channels where the impressions don't cost a lot. So you can say TikTok and especially Instagram. The challenge with those channels, especially if you're selling B2B, and B2B is very different than just general consumer tech because B2B needs a trust layer. So it's not just, wow, everybody's talking about this accounting software, but who are the actual voices that I trust that are promoting a B2B software? Because B2B, if anybody here is in the B2B space and type in B2B in the channel, I'm curious who works specifically in B2B, whether you're on the brand side, creator side, whatever it is that the trust is the most important thing. So what I would start on day one is building a roster of the biggest and most influential voices in my niche divided by the different sector. So let's say it could be accounting. I'm curious if I'm selling to founders versus selling to CPAs and accountants versus maybe HR. And then within those subsections, building almost like the Mount Rushmore in each individual division. You can think of it like your own sports team. So when I think of, let's say Shaquille O'Neal, I think of the endorsements of the brands. When I think of the brands, I want to think of Shaquille O'Neal. It's the same thing, I think, in this space. You have those creators. You don't want to do one-off partnerships anymore. You want to go super deep and build custom partnerships for like that VIP level of creators. So I would start with if you have the money, start with the biggest, loudest, most influential voices, do live briefings with them, explain how they want to be in your world. And the creators are going to build this beautiful halo effect. I think Clay is a great example where everywhere you look, Clay is everywhere, right? They have out of home, they have a creator program, they have UGC, they have employee advocacy. I wouldn't start with trying to do everything at once. Do one very specific thing, even own one channel. So like if we're talking, let's say accounting for B2B, I want to know where accountants live. I would imagine maybe LinkedIn is probably the best channel. So I want to own one channel, build a creator program for that one channel. And once you feel strong and you actually built out and nailed that one channel and you feel like, okay, we have a good foothold on that channel, then you start to ask the creators, okay, well, do you also have a YouTube channel? Do you also have a podcast? Do you also have a newsletter? And start growing? Because if you try to do everything at once, you become very average. Versus if you do one very specific thing, like for us as an agency, we nailed LinkedIn and creator marketing in the first year. And then over time, brands are like, hey, I want to start doing more. So like once you nail sponsored content, then I would move to paid media. And then we launched a paid media team in-house at Creator Match. So we're boosting all of the content. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'd love to hear from the audience as well, is creator marketing without paid media is like 50% of a program. I know you're going to show some data in a second around how much these brands are deploying in terms of paid, but you need to be boosting the content. And I will share this right now. We do not do any sponsored content on LinkedIn unless there is a boosting strategy, because LinkedIn right now, as unfortunate as it is, has become a pay to play platform. You need to be boosting the content and you need to have an ads focus. The challenge is that you need to know what you're doing, which is why agencies that are specialized maybe exist like us. For instance, let's say you get 100 pieces of carousel content live on LinkedIn. The challenge is right now you cannot boost carousel content. Let's say you get 100 pieces of content live and it's multi-image. You can't boost multi-image. You can boost video. You can boost single image. You can use carousel content, get that content for your company ads. Like there's whole individual channel strategies, which is why you shouldn't just go spray and pray across everything. So that's kind of our focus on building these programs, is really asking the brand what success looks like. It could be top of funnel brand awareness tied to CPM, bottom of funnel, usually tied to clicks, conversions with a very focused paid media strategy, or this new bucket that's emerging, which is I want to show up in LLMs. When people are typing, what's the best accounting software for me? How do I outrank my competitors? And the beautiful thing is LLMs are pulling things like YouTube links and creator links, and LinkedIn has insane AEO, and Instagram now is getting pulled. So it depends on your goal, and then building a strategy, channel specific, creator specific around those goals.
Yeah, 100%. Before we go back to the ad spend, I do want to touch on the LLM side of things. We're seeing the rate of mentions across short form video platforms triple quarter over quarter. And so we are now seeing up to 6% of LLM citations come from IG videos, TikTok videos. YouTube has obviously been there for quite some time, but creator marketing, especially for B2B, where people are making educated decisions, can have a big impact there as well. And AJ, you talked about the budgets going up. You talked about a $2,000 deal a couple of years ago. Now people are spending millions. We're seeing the same. I was talking to a creator. And the interesting thing is, not a lot of people realize that. I feel like it's this insider information of how much money people are spending on the assets. We've got one AI company that we work with that will get assets for $2,000 and spend millions on them. So that ratio is crazy. And what's interesting is when we talk to creators, a lot of them have no idea. We were talking to one creator who got paid $10,000 in their video, and he then realized that his video got juiced up to millions of views. And I was like, how much do you think they spent? He's like, yeah, probably like 10, 20K. The answer is actually $500,000. And so that gap is massive. What's your perspective on the ad spend ratio, AJ?
So it's definitely, I would say brands are spending more on paid than they are on creator because I mean, you can just it's so much infinitely more scalable versus creator marketing, especially like high touch program takes a lot of time and resources. I do think there are certain creators for certain things. So not every creator will, say that they're going to sell their name, image, and likeness for usage rights. But I do think if you're a creator and you're open to it, which I think you definitely should be because the brand's boosting on your behalf, you can likely get more followers and just more reach in general. I do think that like when you're working with these brands, you should ask them what their goal is. You should not be in a campaign as a creator without knowing what their goal is. If their goal is clicks, conversions, more eyeballs, you should discuss what a paid strategy looks like. You should have an idea of how usage works and like come in and be the expert. Explain how, hey, Brian, you're asking me for a carousel on LinkedIn. You can't boost carousel. Like be an expert. I think early on it's gonna be very helpful. I also think that LinkedIn and B2B is a very unique channel because when you're boosting content on other channels like Meta, it's less for the creator's profile and more for the content. On LinkedIn, you're getting their name, image, and likeness. And the most valuable thing is the title. So if you're boosting somebody, let's say we're going back to this accounting B2B software. If you're boosting somebody who is the CPA and head accountant at Google, let's say, and they're a creator, and a lot of corporate professionals are also becoming creators now, especially on LinkedIn, think about how valuable it is to have Google almost as a direct affiliation to your product that's probably completely unknown. So to
Yeah.
me, the beautiful part of boosting on LinkedIn, and so many brands don't even know that you can run TLA or thought leader ads on LinkedIn, is that you're getting that title and the company they work at. So I would actually focus less on, and you can have kind of two tests running, but less on just the creative on LinkedIn and more on the creator, who the person is and the influence they have. So they can have 10 followers. As long as they have the right title and they're speaking to the right people, I'm more inclined to see that and have, again, it's this trust economy in B2B versus the other channels is just, I'm going to put $1 million behind this post. I don't care. Actually, it could be a high school kid dancing in his mom's basement on TikTok. So like trust is so different. And then also for creators, I think it's really important to know you can just type in LinkedIn ads library on Google. Every single social media platform, I think by law has to disclose who's running ads. So anytime I'm chatting with a brand, whether it's I'm on the agency side, the brand side, the creator side, I type in this company, let's say accounting software XYZ, and see if they're running ads on LinkedIn. Oftentimes they are. You can see how horrible the creative is. If anybody here spent any time on LinkedIn, you know the creative is so bad. It's usually AI slop. It looks like a billboard. There's no humanization. There's no face. And then the goal basically is to outperform their company ads, which is very, very, very doable right now because, of course, the ad will perform better if it's stronger creative and it's coming from Paul's profile versus at the Creator Match Company channel. So I think boosting on LinkedIn is still completely untapped. Brands need a boosting strategy as part of their creator program. And then after you nail that and get that in a really strong spot and have creative running every single day, week, month across different sectors, accountants, CPAs to founders to CISOs, whatever it is, then you start building the program laterally to different channels, unique activations, IRL events, etc.
You talked a little bit about LinkedIn creators not being great on the creative side. How have you
Well,
managed that? Are
not
you
really
getting
the creative.
folks?
I'm saying the ad that the companies or the brands are making off their company page compared to what a creator can make is night and day. So like if you see
Got
the
it.
from ads and like it works for them, like they wouldn't be spending millions of dollars a month if it wasn't working. So we are running way higher performing creator marketing campaigns because the ad is coming from the name, image, and likeness of the creator on LinkedIn, let's say, and the creative is so much stronger and better. And like literally type in any brand that you love in the LinkedIn ads library and you'll see how horrible most of the ads are, but they're working or else they would be putting more money behind it. So creators are coming with this new face, new way to tell a story, especially, if I'm a creator, I would actually go for the more boring companies because their bar is so much lower. They probably don't have a full marketing team, if any marketing team. So you can raise the bar so much higher with good creative. And also, the more boring, there's usually more money. So like if you're selling something that costs $5,000 for enterprise B2B software up to $20,000, $100,000, you don't even need that many leads. You don't need that many conversions. It's not selling socks on TikTok Shop, right? It's selling B2B enterprise accounting software, and like one qualified lead could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's also just a different game, which is why it makes it so much more fun, because it's like this whole new world, this new playbook that everybody's writing, and everyone wants to chase the shiny on other channels, like a TikTok selling, a can of Bloom. But on other channels, still, it could still be on TikTok, but mainly on LinkedIn, let's say, B2B is just so untapped, but it's just not as fun and sexy. So chase the boring, and I think there's more money and more value to be created in the niches.
And you spoke a lot about LinkedIn for B2B. We are seeing a lot of brands doing B2B as well on Instagram now, especially that we can use paid partnership ads. They can use paid partnership ads to similar LinkedIn, take that creative and drive it. And so the interesting thing on Instagram is that it's a little bit more difficult to find that software engineer or that accountant. But when you can find a good one, that's also a very good video storyteller, you get this magic little combination of social proof and trust with a great piece of creative that you can then distribute. And going a little bit more technical now, you can now do such amazing work on the targeting side where even with Meta, you can go target your B2B audiences, right? Whether you're building audiences in Clay and things like that. So AJ, what's your take there on Instagram as a channel for B2B? Agree, disagree? What have you seen work?
So I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's and, as long as you have bandwidth, budget, and resources. So like if you had 50 grand, I would not say that's enough to spread across long form YouTube, short form Instagram, paid media, and LinkedIn, because you're not getting enough creative to really run an effective test. Like you're not going to get statistical significance. So if you have a much larger budget, then you can start playing across multiple channels. But every new channel unlocks just new knowledge you need to know, because I mean, like meta ads changes on a daily basis. LinkedIn's like, if you didn't know anything about LinkedIn, you wouldn't know that collab articles just went live, or the ability to do collab posts just went live. They have a creator marketplace that just went live. So you need to be experts at these channels, which is why agencies like us exist, because we can run so many experiments across. So a perfect B2B creator program is absolutely multi-channel. There is sponsored content running. There is paid content running behind the content for paid media. There's IRL components, there's gifting, there's maybe a brand trip or a creator dinner that you're hosting. It really goes across the board. So for us, it's funny that as the industry has evolved, we've just been adding more capabilities. So like day one, Creator Match was just a LinkedIn creator marketing agency. For the first year, we did nothing other than just LinkedIn. Then brands said, hey, I want to run some paid media behind this. Great. We built a paid media team. And then we all realized, wait a second, there's more than just LinkedIn. These B2B buyers are on multiple channels. So we do all short form channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Shorts, Twitter, long form, YouTube, and newsletters also great, paid media, gifting, and brand trips. And it goes really, I would say, across the board, which is why it's so exciting. The other thing I will say is, while the other channels I think are easier from a creator marketing standpoint, you need to understand that these B2B buyers, while they spend time, let's say on TikTok, I call TikTok the channel where your feet are up on a couch. I probably don't necessarily want to learn about B2B enterprise accounting software on TikTok versus LinkedIn. I call it like the colored shirt platform. I'm on it during the workday, right, from 9 to 5. I'm more in my business mindset, and maybe I want to focus on more educational content. So the content should also change depending on the platform. So like if I'm running this, again, accounting B2B software creator program, I may run a different brief for more LinkedIn and educational and professional content versus TikTok. I may run more of like ClickUp's playbook, which is more corporate humor. Quote, shout out to Caroline. Quote does a great job with this as well. It's funnier content that's more shareable on, let's say, Instagram or TikTok versus LinkedIn, let's say, is more educational.
Awesome. Super helpful. And quick reminder for the chat, if you have follow-up questions, drop them in. We'll pay attention, take a look, and try to address them live as we go. Sigi, let's swap over to turning signals into a creator program. So AJ, we talked a little bit about the data, what we're seeing in the industry, but building a program really relies, and doing it well, especially if we want to stand out, really relies on understanding what's going on in the market, what people are talking about. That's something I know you've worked on a ton. So tell us how you think about that.
So I think if you go at the highest possible level in like dream state creator program, and I also feel for a lot of the folks in the chat, because most of the time you're not a dedicated creator or influencer marketing person at these companies. Oftentimes what we're seeing is it starts on the growth team and then it moves into maybe you're, part-time social, part-time creator. You're wearing so many hats. Like, I think that's very understandable. Every brand right now is slashing headcount. We see mass layoffs across tech, and then the asks are going up. So not only are you needing to do a million other things, but they also want you to run a creator program on multiple channels, IRL, URL, paid media, everything. The dream state creator program, we spoke a lot about the creator, but I actually would start with the employee. In this world of feature parity from a tech and software standpoint, there really is no more differentiation between so many of these software products. So the way to differentiate is through brand. And to build, like, I always joke that we are in the world of ecosystem marketing, where what we do is we build an ecosystem, or we build a world for these brands with creators. There's different types of creators, obviously. So like the triangle that we talk about a lot, the content flywheel, is having content come from three different areas. You have the EGC, which is employee, the UGC, which is your customer or your core user, and then the IGC, which are influencer, very loud, influential voices that you're going to pay a lot more money to. Oftentimes, brands come to us that are very small. Hey, I only have $5,000, $10,000 a month to play and experiment with this channel. I would start with your employees, even like your founder. For us, that's actually how we started and got our kind of claim to fame, is just using my own personal brand to pump content and just building in public. Every single brand today, if you cannot think of who the founding team is or who like the face of the brand is, I think you're at a disadvantage. The great example is like Airbnb. People don't get updates from Airbnb's company channel. They get it from Brian Chesky and his personal channels, right? Same thing across the board. Name any strong company today. You can name the leaders of that company from a social standpoint. It needs to come from the top down. And yes, I understand like older companies that are anti-content, it's going to be hard to sell this through. But getting employees to post about all your launches, to post about what's going on at the company, and encouraging them and empowering them to speak up, I think is everything. So I'd start with employee, then focus on your users or your customers, because they understand what you're doing already. They want to scream your name from the rooftops. So empower them to do so, and it doesn't have to necessarily even be payment. Maybe you say, hey, we'll boost your content, and they want to get more followers. Maybe it's, hey, we'll invite you to an ambassador program and give you gifting. We'll invite you to dinners. We will, bring you into our product feedback sessions, and you can get early access. Like, those VIP 1% power users, make sure you're not forgetting about them, because they want to be part of what's to come. And then the last piece, which is kind of the hardest piece at scale, is the influencer, the people that have trusted audiences that you're renting distribution from, that make incredible storytelling content. So like, start with the employee, move to the user, and then finish with the actual influencer. And then ideally you're doing all this at once. So every time there's a launch, all three parts are covered. And then also you have an evergreen program running at the same time. So outside of just your launch periods, which could be every 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you have content running every single month. So you get to this feeling of being what I call omnipresent. And everywhere you look, it's like, wow, this brand is everywhere. And it's building this ecosystem across every specific touch point and channel.
Super helpful. So this is an interesting ecosystem that you're talking about building, where we've got tentpole launches that are being supported. We've also got this evergreen. How does that mature? What does that look like at the next level? Like, what else can people layer on to be more omnipresent?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm seeing this huge shift from going from just digital to IRL. We call it the IRL to URL bridge. So as you're doing more things analog, more things physical, like the only way to tell if someone is real these days, because I've literally followed an influencer before and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize they were actually AI generated, which was kind of a crazy time that we're in, is to meet them in person. So like, again, if you're a creator watching this, I would absolutely say, how can you be an IRL community builder and invite brands into your world? So if you are an SF and you are that accounting leader, right, go work with an accounting brand and say, hey, I'm going to host a 10-person dinner of the most influential voices in this space. You guys are going to sponsor, we'll make content. IRL is going to be huge. But it's not just IRL. So like, let's say you're a brand and you're showing up. Let's say the next event you guys want to show up at is Social Media Week. SF Tech Week is coming up. LA Tech Week. There's HubSpot in Unbound. There's Dreamforce from Salesforce. If you guys are, as a brand, are activating there, it's not just doing the IRL and the event ends right when the event finishes in terms of the time. It's getting creators to come to the event, getting them to post content on social, and then having a boosting strategy before they even get there to run for paid media. And I think so many brands are skipping those last few pieces. They're spending, I mean, literally anywhere from 6 to 7 figures on a massive event, and it just dies right after that. So we'll work with brands to either help them think of a really cool event to do at these big tentpole conferences, events, like in like the tech weeks of the world, get creators ideally that's already in the program. If not, we can get new creators to go be kind of foot soldiers on site to create content. And then the paid media team, whether it's either us running it or their performance team, is ready to get all this content and they explain what they need. Because the biggest mistake that we see is that the paid media team gets all this content and they're like, I didn't ask for this, or it's the wrong brief, or it's the wrong channel, or hey, you can't run carousel content. So you need to know what you're boosting before the content goes live. And bringing the IRL to the URL bridge is a huge strategy, I think, that's winning today, that we'll continue to see to the end of time as everything's becoming more in person.
So I want to talk about two things in a little bit more detail. Let's say we're running a creator program, we're doing these launches, we've got influencers broadcasting the launches, the usual stuff. We've got an evergreen program where we've got 10, 20 creators that are posting awesome videos and the ad team is happy. We've got our content factory. What do these events actually look like? If I host my first dinner and I want to bring some influencers, what the hell does that even look like? And what do these influencers post about? And how is that actually going to help my brand? And then same thing for the event. Hey, we're going to do a big activation in Cannes. We're going to get a big house. I'm going to fly out some creators. What are they going to do there? Just have them show up and randomly post, do their thing? Help make that real for the audience.
Yeah, it's a great question. Also, I love that the participants have only gone up in the last few minutes, which knows this is hopefully very helpful. I think we're at about 140, 150, which is awesome to see how many people are interested in B2B creator marketing. So to answer your question, it's not just throwing money at an event and saying good luck, right? The first thing you have to think about is if you want creators to post about something, you need to make it shareable. The first thing that you do when you walk in is like, oh my God, I want to take my phone out and throw this on my Instagram story. So many brands in the B2C world have done brand trips, gifting, IRL events. B2C is playing catch up. It's behind. So you can take a lot of inspiration from what people are doing on these other channels. Like I took inspiration from, what Poppy did with Alex Earl at Coachella. How can we do some sort of B2B creator house for sales leaders in SF for Dreamforce? Like, yes, it's probably not as fun and as sexy as something at Coachella, but it's the same premise. And think about how much content can come from that. And think about the headline. Like I love to think in terms of marketing as like, what's going to make a headline, like a TechCrunch article, Business Insider article. If I'm a creator that talks about marketing campaigns, like what's going to get me to cover, wait a second, Salesforce took inspiration from Poppy Soda and Coachella to bring sales leaders to a typical corporate conference. And then within that, there were maybe gifting and all these other, almost like a true brand trip, right? So if I'm a brand in this space, I think the easiest, lowest hanging fruit is gifting. How do you humanize a brand that you can't touch or feel or even see? Because oftentimes we're dealing with software, right? So Notion's done a great job of really creative gifting. And I would tie it to my launch moments and make it something to where it actually makes sense. So an example might be that, you're a social media software and you're running a big campaign for the next launch and you're working with a ton of social media creators, and maybe you send them a gift. And like I have my brick right here. Shout out to Daniel Kang, who's the creator marketing leader at Brick. You might send them something like this with something handwritten to make it feel super unique. Creators in B2B don't get gifts. Creators in B2C, their lobby of their apartment has gifts stacked to the ceiling of a ton of free things. So like we know that works, especially seating. What does that look like in the B2B space? And it does not have to be like, hey, I'm going to give you really bad company swag. I think that's where everyone in B2B goes, like, I'm going to give them a branded pen that says Creator Match and a mug, and that's it. It needs to either be so crazy and outlandish that you got to talk about it, or so valuable to the point where you would actually use it and it's useful. Like a great example is I was a creator in this campaign with Yahoo, right? Tech company. And they sent caviar bumps to certain creators, caviar bumps. And it says, instead of bumping emails, let's bump caviar for National Caviar Day. They didn't pay me. I instantly wanted to go to social to post about it. And it's as simple as like a can of caviar with a cool message. It does not have to be something incredibly custom. So in this world, there's so much noise. How do you rise outside the noise to get to the signal? And I really do think the two massive areas of opportunity are B2B creator gifting. And again, think of either super practical, like, oh, this is an amazing sweater, I'll wear this every day, or so outlandish where you're sending them a block of dry ice and they have to get a hammer and hammer the ice into the point where there's something inside that's part of the campaign. It could be a locked briefcase with, a code you have to enter and you open it up and there's something inside. Like people want surprise and delight. The other side is IRL events, and they don't have to be massive. Like you don't have to go sponsor Tech Week for $1 billion, right? It could be as simple as getting the 10 loudest voices in your key cities, bring your CEO, your CMO, your leaders, your founders in a room, and just make it something we're sharing. Cursor does a great job of this. Shout out to Mike, where I was at the LA dinner that they did. They brought 30 of the biggest AI and tech creators into one of the coolest dinner experiences I've ever had. They flew out an entire team to do very custom dinner experiences. Basically, everything was Cursor branded. It was Michelin star, and the room they curated, it wasn't that it was 3,000, it was 30, but of the biggest, most influential voices in the space. And everybody from that event posted basically for how cool the experience was. And like that is enterprise value that's made. So again, gifting and IRL, I think is going to be huge for this next year.
Amazing. This was a lot of good examples. See, next slide, we're going to announce the Q&A. Quick plug on the archive side. If you guys are looking for more data to understand what your competitors are doing with regards to creator programs, we've got a promotion where we're offering a free deep research report where we can pull in up to 5,000 of the most viral effective videos that your competitors are doing, analyze them with AI, and get you a report of all of their strategies so we can get hopefully AJ level analysis intelligence directly on your competitors. Sigi will drop the link in the chat. We have some time for questions. We've already got a couple submitted. But AJ, just want to say a big thank you initially for all of this awesome information. Let's start with this one. If someone wants today, if someone wants to start like this month, the absolute first thing, what would you recommend they do first?
I mean, I definitely have a lot of follow-up questions to that, as in, what is your goal? Because what we've learned is every single creator program that we're running for the many tech and B2B and AI brands that we're working with is an incredibly different goal, which means a different strategy, different channels. It could be IRL, it could be URL, different spend. I mean, we have some brands spending 100K a month, some brands spending a million a week, right? And it fluctuates like crazy. So obviously it's dependent on your goal. Again, top of funnel, bottom of funnel, or kind of AEO and showing up in LLMs. Depends on your spend levels as well. But assuming if you are starting the program, I actually will say, and this is me being a really bad salesperson, do not work with an agency if your program is at zero and you don't have any money, because agency fees are not necessarily cheap, right? Like we are definitely a premium. We offer a premium service for a premium retainer. So don't work. I mean, like oftentimes our retainers can be higher than your spend for the entire month. I would start building it in-house. You can work with marketplaces. I think are a great way to kind of kick it off. But as you start to build traction, that's when you're going to need additional support, and it's hard to get headcount. I would start with your employees, because oftentimes you don't have to pay, right? I don't pay myself to post about my own company. Our leadership team wants to post, wants to market what we're doing. Once you get your employee advocacy program built out, talk to your customers. Who of your customers are also creators? Who wants, those people that want to scream your brand from the rooftops? How can you work with them? How can you do kind of joint content with them? Can you do collab content with them, whatever it is? And then lastly, go more to the influencer, which is going to cost money, which you do need real budget. You need an entire dedicated team to do live briefings with them and calls with them. And you have to draft content, and you have to worry about, the million contracts and payments and like this whole infrastructure you have to build for the program. Employee,
All the fun stuff.
user, influencer.
AJ, we got 10 questions to go through. So we're going to do quick fires. From Julia, what separates a high-performing B2B creator from a big B2B creator?
I think it goes back to your goal. Again, to me, the goal in B2B is trust. So while there's great creators that are more general, like business creators, if it is a very niche product, try to find the most influential voices. And the best way to do this, and I'll shout out Chris Cunningham from ClickUp, what he does a great job of, interview your customers, ask them where they consume content, where they live on social, like what corners of the internet they live, and what are some influencers that they follow. It could be everyone is saying that, they follow XYZ podcaster. Okay, well, I would try to do something with them. Or everyone is saying I need to follow Paul on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to go work with Paul. I really do think that based on the goal, it's going to be dependent on what you want to do. Also, if you're running paid behind it, you actually don't need them to have reach, because you're essentially paying for reach with paid media. To me, B2B is all about trust. So it's less of the creative and more of the creator, their title, their role, who they are, and finding practitioners. So don't find 10 very young creators who don't even know what accounting is to make cool content. Find people who are accountants. Accountants are CPAs. Like, it's a different world. So find the right people for that mix. And that to me is what success looks like for that program.
Awesome. And quite related, tell us about the content style, the formats that actually drive business outcomes instead of just engagement bait.
So every program that we're running, we want to do as many tests as we can. If the brand is open to doing experiments, like if we're doing a paid media focus campaign that's bottom of funnel, let's say on LinkedIn, You need to be mindful of what formats are boostable versus not. So like you can boost video and single image. You cannot boost carousel and multi-image. What you can do though is if you find a perfect creator, we call them a carousel creator, is you can get them to send you the raw file or asset to then run company ads. So we have a company ads kind of program test running. We have a creator test running for maybe sponsored content. We're putting paid behind certain formats. We're trying different hooks, things like that. And it's really going to just be multiple experiments at once per channel. Every channel is so different, and there might be something trending on TikTok that's not necessarily trending on LinkedIn because LinkedIn doesn't have as many trends per se. And that's why my advice would be do one channel out of the gate. Do not spread yourself so far that you're doing average campaigns across everything. You'd rather would be known as like, oh my God, this channel crushes YouTube, but I don't know anything about them on Instagram versus your average across 10 social media channels.
You talked about usage rights. Question from Vanessa. Hello, Vanessa. So do you always have usage rights in the creator contracts? How do you typically handle usage rights?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we will ask the brand what they want to do. It depends if we're boosting versus if they're boosting. Depending on the creator and the bigger the name, usually obviously like the more they will charge for usage. If we need to move very fast and we know we're going to boost on day one, basically, we'll collect the usage rights beforehand. If we want to see how this goes, and then the brand's like, out of the 30 pieces of content I'm getting this month for this specific campaign, I only want to boost a couple, or we want to see how it performs, then we would do it after the fact. But when you do it after the fact, it will slow things down and the rate will obviously be higher as well. So it just depends on like if you want to play the speed game or you want to play the let's sit and wait. But if you sit and wait, things will change after the fact.
Question from Zapier. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Is there an obvious minimum budget for a B2B campaign? Is it the same as a B2C, or would it be significantly different?
I will say that what we're seeing right now in B2B, it's the campaign sizes are still much smaller than the B2C world. You can get like the smaller the budget, the more creative you have to get. So you don't like, yes, we typically deal with brands spending 100K per month in creator spend on a monthly basis with us. But I will say like you can still make noise on small budgets. You just have to get a bit more creative. So like I would over index on employee advocacy, which does not cost money. I would over index on the UGC part of the program, which maybe doesn't cost money either, because it's customers who want to talk about it. In exchange, you give them, 12 months of archive at cost or whatever it may be, right? It may be that you want to really focus a bit more on the concept. Like what is, again, I'm going to go back to like, what's going to make a newspaper headline? Similar to that example that I gave of a B2B creator house at Dreamforce in SF, right? Like, yes, maybe that costs a little bit more money, but you just have to get a bit more creative on that front. And if you only have a small budget, which most B2B brands have budget, but this is an experiment for them, fewer voices, go deeper with them, do a smaller test, show success, show buy-in to your leadership, and then continue to unlock spend levels, show how employee content is leading to sales calls, which leads to conversion, and then that grows the program. So I would say like a lot of the calls that we get that we aren't really able to work with are anywhere from 5 to 20K per month in spend. But to really work with an agency, I would say it's 50 to 100K per month plus, and the program will just continue to grow and you can do more things as you have obviously more budget.
Amazing. Let's go a little bit back on the AEO side. You mentioned that you saw AEO results on LinkedIn posts, other formats. Can you talk about how you observed success there? Maybe what kind of formats or what kind of posts?
Yeah, so I will say anyone who says that they're an expert in this is definitely not telling the truth, because this is very new. What we did really well 2 years ago is we saw where the hockey puck was going, which, my thesis was LinkedIn and B2B influence is going to be the next frontier in influencer marketing. We nailed it. We got in early, which is why we've had some great success in these last 2 years. I think the next hockey puck that's about to be hit by, the goalie, let's say, is creator marketing for AI search. It's very new. And you see on the brand side, companies like Profound, right? There's Profound, there is SEMrush, there's Ahrefs, there's AirOps, a ton of other companies out there. They are raising money like crazy. They're hiring like crazy because every brand knows that so much influence is driven now on talking to Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity on here's my use case, recommend what you want. But it's pulling from still the internet, from social media. So we're starting. We're not at the place yet where we have the playbook written. We are currently writing it with a pencil and erasing a lot as we go and run experiments. But creators carry so much influence, especially on LinkedIn, let's say, or even if they have a newsletter, let's say on Beehive, and Beehive newsletters are indexed on Google. That also, if they're talking about your brand, can get pulled into these LLM mentions as well. So it's very new. A lot of brands know that they care about this, they're asking for it. And we use tools like Profound to track that at the video or post level and then at the creator level. And we're starting to see that certain creators have, similar to a domain authority, have insane authority as it comes to LLMs. And also there are best practices. So for instance, if a brand is running a very specific program for creator marketing for AI search, the strategy is going to be different.
Yeah.
So an example is going to be that we're not going to do ad integrations on YouTube. We're going to do dedicated videos on YouTube because we want in the title, we want the brand, we want the entire video to have a mention of the brand. Also, that we're going to have table of contents in the video, and we're going to build a campaign brief for the creator that is almost like building a blog brief that you would give to your website SEO team on what things you need to hit to start ranking. It's the same thing for what you would give to a creator to hit from a video standpoint to have the brand rank in LLMs.
Amazing. Well, this kind of answers a part of that question where a whole new content format for influencers is actually an AEO brief blog post, basically, that they're doing through a video. We're seeing that a ton. And it's not just YouTube, by the way. A lot of young folks use TikTok for search, and so you can get a lot of value out of those types of videos. What are the most exciting, strongest emerging formats that B2B marketers have not caught on yet? Tell us the secrets. What is the ARB, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so easy to follow. Like, if I'm a B2B brand, I would not look at my competitors, to be honest. I think it's so easy to get caught up on what my competitors are doing. I would take inspiration from this other world of B2C. There are so many incredible campaigns that I've seen in other, like, it's a different world, B2C versus B2B, especially like enterprise, tech, AI, and like take inspiration in how I could use that, like, concept of a brand trip for my world. So like an example that we did with Zapier, and we partnered with them last year, was we ran the first ever AI hackathon in the desert, where we brought 30 AI creators to Airstreams in Utah to do a multi-day hackathon with their CEO to get people on site building, testing of the product, and then gave so many content opportunities. And everybody had an amazing time meeting the team. The aura of the brand went up. They won an award for one of the best B2B campaigns of the year. And the content coming out of that was exceptional. Obviously, we had a boosting strategy as well. So like, I love just playing in a league of like this blue ocean versus competing in this red ocean. So like every B2B brand right now is, let's say they're doing webinars and white papers and traditional company ads. How can you be a little bit differentiated and do something a bit splashy, more unique, things that are going to actually hit a newspaper headline? And the hardest thing I think to digest as a CMO or a marketing leader, the best marketing campaigns are not trackable, right? But if you remember any campaign that you're like, oh, I remember that campaign, it wasn't just one-to-one. Like, yes, you can have a performance focused campaign, but you need to have brand moments, because brand moments and awareness will push people down the funnel. You can't just start, a great example is like, you can't just start baking the cake if the oven's not preheated. The oven being preheated is the awareness side of it. And then once people are aware of your brand, then you can move them down the funnel with more consideration and conversion campaigns. So also a huge tip for content is don't have every single brief be one part of the funnel. Like if you're just doing awareness, no one's ever going to convert. If you're just doing middle or bottom, no one knows about you at the top. So also you might have a group of creators that are more the awareness creators that are like the general marketing creators. You have creators that are more trust and like very niche practitioners that like really understand the product. That's more consideration, conversion. It's not going to get as much reach, but that's the perfect part for paid media. So every brief's also chopped into the different parts of the marketing funnel and different content within those campaigns.
Amazing. All right. We are right up on time. AJ, this was phenomenally helpful. Unfortunately, AJ's got to go back to activating creators, making some money, but we appreciate the time. AJ, where can people find you? And is there anything that you want from the audience?
Awesome. Yeah. So easiest place to find me is just on LinkedIn. You can just type my name, AJ Eckstein. Our website is creatormatch.com. And then the last thing I'll leave with is just what I would love to see in this space, as what's great from a trend standpoint is more B2B brands are investing in creators. Don't think that you're going to follow a playbook. Like I empower everyone to start writing your own playbook. And I would love to see more creative ways that we're marketing products that are not as fun, as sexy as B2C. Like I want us to beat out the B2C world and have them start taking inspiration from our world. Like right now, it's very much the other way around, but certain brands have done some great, just really interesting ideation. We're seeing a lot of brands move into, I'm going to build an entire media team in-house and start doing some crazy things. Like Wispr Flow is a great example where they have some really cool concepts they're coming out with. But I'd love to see more brands just be a little bit more risk taking and take some bigger swings and experiment a bit more, especially with creators. And I think it's going to be an exciting time to be in the space, whether you're the creator side, the brand side, the tech side, or the agency side.
Amazing. Thank you, AJ. And quick reminder, we're Archive. Check us out at archive.com, especially as you're scaling your creator programs. We work with some of the fastest growing CPG companies, enterprises, and AI companies, and would love to support as well. And big thank you to AJ and appreciate everybody for tuning in. Talk soon. Bye bye.